with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do whatever it is that you can to support us right here at the Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, Game Source, of course, the great folks at Lakerholics.com. Go ahead and check out Laker Tom and Jamie Sweet today at Lakerholics.com. Our good friend Ox, 1947, he's at LakersBall.com. You know, he's been chatting it up all day at LakersBall.com, plus his business if you want your lawn transformed into something much better than you've got today in the Southern California area. It's Simblades with a Y.com, plus also as well our good friends at the Hoopheads Podcast Network. And if you could support all of that, it is sincerely appreciated. Well, where's Jamie Sweet? Yami Sweet, Alex, I will tell you, he is coming on our late night Lakers Fast Break. Him and Joe Soro will be breaking down what I've got to tell you right now, because the Lakers earlier today conducted a 2-player and some draft picks trade earlier today. They made another deal because they, can't do enough deals with the Washington Wizards, because seemingly all the Wizards have is ex-Lakers and all the Lakers have is ex-Wizards. They made a trade today for Rui Hachimura. In return, the Wizards get Kendrick Nunn and 3 second-round draft picks, which we'll go into a little bit more detail later, including the Chicago second-round pick that the Lakers had in this upcoming draft, plus some later picks. And also, one of the picks in question is going to be the worst of the 2 picks between Washington and the Lakers in the second round. So I'll describe it in detail here in a bit, but I'm just going to go ahead and plan out a Lakers late night with Joe Soro, me, and Jamie Sweet. But the guy with me right now wanted to go ahead and said all day, I want to talk about Rui Hachimura. I want to talk about Rui Hachimura. I want to talk about Rui Hachimura. Rui Hachimura will be talked about more today than he ever will be in his entire life. I can tell you, in the sports world, that's for sure. But here today to talk about, first up, Rui Hachimura, the trade, what this does for the Lakers, and all that. He's a good man indeed, an annoying man sometimes, but nonetheless a good man indeed. It is Sean Grice, the Magic Man, the guy who just can't get out of Toronto traffic unless he's talking about Rui Hachimura. It is Magic Man Sean Grice. And Sean, great to have you here, my friend. I am, just as I said before we went on the air, I appreciate your enthusiasm. Being on the East Coast, I knew you said you couldn't make the late night. That's tough to ask. But you've been wanting to talk about Rui Hachimura and this trade all day. And so I appreciate it. I just thought I was going to be able to schedule later. But you know what? For you, my friend, I will make the exception. I will start off the conversation with you. Your thoughts, first up, on the Rui Hachimura trade with Rui Hachimura, a 6'8" forward who was a 9th pick in his draft. Not exactly panning everything out as far as his time in Washington. He goes to the Lakers. Can he find a better home with the Los Angeles Lakers?
I think he can, Gerald. And my apologies to the Podfather. I deserved that taken behind the woodshed and just spanked a little bit because you're not thinking of others rather than yourself.
I'm just supposed to drop everything, get out of the Las Vegas traffic of my own, because I'm Michelle Yeoh and I'm everywhere, everything all at once, So there you go. So there you, just following her footsteps, because hopefully I can go ahead and get an Academy Award nomination later this week myself. But
Oh,
I know
she's
you've been wanting.
fantastic, and that's a great reference,
It
Gerald.
is. It is the one. It's the best movie of last year, in my opinion. But getting back to Rui Hachimura and this trade, it's something I know a lot of people have been talking about all day. I want to put things in perspective because I'm the numbers guy. I've been looking at it analytically. When we did the trade, I looked at the numbers in detail. Defensively, because he's on the Washington Wizards, the defensive numbers don't pop off the charts. In fact, it's pretty much below average at this point in time. His 3 point area, his 3 point shots, his 3 point shooting throughout his entire career, to say it's been streaky is probably being very complimentary. Although from the corners, he's actually somewhat efficient as a
Mhm.
standstill in the corner shooter. But overall, it's still not a pretty picture. Him or Cam Reddish, because I know Cam Reddish's name still comes up. That guy is right now hitting bricks from the outside. Rui Hachimura isn't doing much better. He's currently at 33%. I want to go ahead and put it in the perspective for you first. His last two games that he played with the Washington Wizards, he scored 30 points in his last game, but the game before was a donut. So I ask you, my friend, we're getting a 6'8" forward who has not been consistent his entire time in the Wizards, which is part of the reason why he asked for a trade and the Wizards were happy to give him a trade. He is still owed as far as a restricted free agent, and he could be tendered an $8 million qualifying offer. The Lakers are interested, according to Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, thinking about a contract extension for him. First up is, can he be a valuable tool for the Los Angeles Lakers?
Gerald, I believe he can. All apologies to Rob Palinka. On a previous podcast, I said he couldn't catch a certain something from somewhere,
Yeah.
and I was completely wrong about that
That
because,
was the line of the night, and I agree with Nick Molina on that.
well,
Shout
thank
out
you.
to Nick.
Shout out to Nick. Uh, yeah, this isn't a blue whale, so to speak, but he did catch a big fish.
Mhm.
Something that can help the Lakers. Uh, I think that well, Gerald, Rui hasn't really played with a playmaker like LeBron James, so I think that's going to take some getting used to. But he does have a history with Russ. So, do you think it's a possibility that maybe between Russ and LeBron they can expedite Rui into the offense?
Well, one thing that Rui does well is he runs the floor and is a slasher. So
Mhm.
that's something that he could provide while LeBron's on the bench, is that slashing technique. And of course, running on the break, since the Lakers are best on the transition, it's not really that much of a stretch. Hey, Rudy, can you go ahead and run with us? I'm sure Rudy would be cool with that. The thing is, though, does he stretch the floor, which is something the Lakers need, plus size? He can give you size, but he's not been great defensively. Is it the
No.
schemes? Is it what they're doing in Washington? You don't know. We're not sure. Only until he comes here do we know what kind of defender he will actually be in the NBA, because he's in a completely different scheme. So we'll see on the defensive side of the things. So I'm going to give him a fair shot on the defensive side. The only thing is, again, he provides some strength as far as at his position as a wing, but the streaky shooting is something we're going to have to deal with. It's something that he
Mhm.
hasn't been able to solve
Yeah,
in the
no.
years that he's been a player on the Washington Wizards. That's a great concern to me, that the Lakers, Cam Reddish, Joshua Dees asking, is he a better alternative than Cam Reddish? Some people are saying no, some people are saying yes. Cam Reddish right now is really bad from the outside. So you're getting
Yeah,
another, if you get Cam Reddish, you're getting a guy that's an inch shorter, can play more the guard than the forward spot, and someone who is, again, very athletic.
I was at the game on Sunday where he was sitting on the end of the bench kind of sulking, and it wasn't a good look.
Mhm.
If there were scouts in the building, I'm just anyway, yeah, Gerald. I mean, when you're 6'8" and you've got a 7'2" wingspan, at least you got to see what he can do defensively. I mean,
Yeah.
so, and this is kind of, Coach Ham kind of, you, you hit the ground running, so to speak, now with Rui defensively. So that's gonna have some bumps along the way as well.
One of the things I do want to ask you is being asked right now by Lifted, and welcome Lifted, welcome Z, welcome every to the one to the podcast. It's one. Thanks once again for joining us. It is the Lakers trading Rui Hachimura to the Washington Wizards for Kendrick Nunn and 3 second round draft picks. Kendrick Nunn is not the problem, because again, he wasn't going to get a lot of more playing time with Reeves and Walker coming back into the lineup here within the next week to 2 weeks. I have a feeling, as I said this a couple weeks ago, that he's going to blow up as far as his scoring average since he realizes he doesn't have a contract and he's going to get plenty of time on a losing team in Washington. So don't be surprised if you see him averaging 15 to 17 a night for the rest of the season in Washington. The thing is, the second round picks, the Lakers have always or traditionally been able to draft really well as far as rotational players that have stuck in the league. There are several of them over the past few years that are in the league right now. Your thoughts, was the price that you paid for Rui a little bit hard to swallow as a Lakers fan?
Yeah, I think it's a little high, but when you're in a situation where you're up against it and everybody knows you're the shortest team in the league and
Mhm.
you need to gain height somewhere, anywhere. I guess this is the price you have to pay for getting Rui, but I like the move personally. And to answer the question, I do think Rui will start. I think you maybe not the first game or two, but I think eventually he's inserted into the starting lineup.
I'm actually with got to be the shoes. I'm not exactly sure how I feel about this because you got a player
I
that has
agree.
underachieved. I want to. Do
Mhm.
you want to say lottery bust? Because that actually could be what you're saying is a lottery bust. Because if his tenure in Washington didn't turn out to what it needed to be for a lottery pick, then it cannot be considered a draft success by any stretch of the imagination. And his numbers, his numbers are not eye popping by any stretch of the imagination. He can score a little bit, he can pass a little bit, he can rebound a little bit, he can do everything a little bit. But the problem is the Lakers need more than just someone that can just be a body and just be someone that can give you something tentative or just something just tangible is probably the better word, excuse me, tangible to what we need as a basketball team going forward.
Yeah, absolutely, Gerald. And sometimes you have to make moves like this just to get a pair of fresh eyes on the situation. And trades like this happen a lot, and usually it's either a slingshot or a boomerang.
Mhm.
It's either a slingshot in the sense that the player you acquire ends up just firing off really high, really elevating the rest of the team, and it creates a synergistic effect, or it can boomerang on you. You think you think that you got a player that can elevate the situation and put you in a better position to contend, and maybe that, like you said, and like got to be the shoes for saying, I don't know how I feel about this. Maybe it's not the right mix.
We'll
Something
see. It's
feels,
worth a
yeah,
shot. It's worth a shot, and
it's
you're
worth
you're
a
giving away,
shot.
and you're giving away seconds, which obviously is the first rounders were something that are very much beloved and prized by the team. The seconds are not as beloved. I will say, Empire was asking about the trade itself. Again, it's Rui Hachimura going to the Lakers for Kendrick Nunn and a 2023 second, which is the Chicago, which we have the rights for, the Chicago Bulls pick in the second round. The 2028 pick is the whatever is less favorable between the Washington Wizards or the Los Angeles Lakers in the second round. Whichever is less favorable, they get. Plus, also as well, a 2029 LA second rounder as well. I mean, some of these second rounders you can actually buy your way in as the Lakers did this year, so it's not
And
life threatening that they give up all these second rounders. I will say though that the tax for the Lakers goes about 3 million higher for them, and for the Washington Wizards it actually goes a little bit lower.
yes, it does. It does. And it should also be said, and it's a fair point that last year, uh 21, 21, 2022,
Mhm.
a quarter of the minutes played in the NBA were played by undrafted players, and that number seems to be going up. And we hear stories every year. Last year it was Jose Alvarado. This year you can look at Watanabe from the Nets. There are just certain players that catch on to a situation. Oh my goodness, Alex Caruso. He's probably the best example to go from well, th- certain other players got paid higher contracts, but I think Alex's story is the one that should stand out for people. But I digress, Drill. But we see it. The Lakers have an ability to find these diamonds in the rough and shape them into rotational players in the NBA. Just you could do a 6 degrees of separation for every team and find a former Lakers rotational player within the last 8 to 10 years.
Once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. It is Magic Man Sean Grice here with me. After you hear another break, you'll be hearing the Lakers Late Night, where Joe Soro will be on along with Jamie Sweet, but that's coming up later on, 10 p.m. Pacific. Blue, just want to let you know our schedules are not aligning great today, so Joe and Jamie have asked to be on at a later point in time to talk about the Rui Hachimura trade. No deep dive on Jay Moore today, everyone. So sorry, we're going to have to post that for another day. Rob Pelinka, though, he makes a trade, and Jamie was always adamant that he said Rob Pelinka is never going to do a in-season trade. So that's something I'm actually going to chide him with. And I was actually falling into that trap. I was actually kind of leaning that he wasn't going to be able to pull the trigger on a trade. This isn't a huge trade by any stretch of the imagination. Your end goal, the end goal is probably the best scenario for this is that Rui becomes a good rotational player for you and a consistent rotational player. That to me is, I think, the best scenario that this works out. It has so many other chances to do otherwise, but that's the best scenario. Your thoughts on this, my friend, in regards to Rui Hachimura, the player? Would you start him coming off the bench? What is the ultimate role for Rui Hachimura on the Los Angeles Lakers?
Yeah, you know something, Gerald. I, if he manages to find ways to get back to shooting around 40% from from catch and shoot, and like you said, he's decent in the corners. I think it's a matter of where he hits his shots rather than a question of when. Especially if he's on the floor with LeBron and Russ, I think they could put him in situations where that can happen. Otherwise, like you said, Gerald, he could be a slasher while LeBron's on the bench. I think I'm kind of with you. It got to be the shoes. I think maybe Rui is better off the bench, but I think
Right
from
now,
just
he's the bench guy. Right
yeah,
now, I would not start him
yeah,
above Troy
yeah,
Brown. Troy Brown has played more
yeah,
consistently
he
and a little
has.
better in the past month than what you would see in the past month since Rui has come back from injury with Washington. He came out, from his injury in late December, early January on like a house of fire, and then, since then, middle part of January and leading up into today's trade, he was all over the place. If you look at the box scores and you also look at the footage that's available out on him in the past couple of weeks, it's been all over the place. Again, like I said, 0 one day, 30 the next. So which Rui Hachimura are you going to get? And that's something that kind of concerns me, that it's still another inconsistent player that we're adding to our rotation.
Yeah, I mean he's averaging 13 points, right? If you want to start in the NBA and play beside LeBron, Anthony Davis, you're going to be asked, can you average 15, 20? I mean, there there are 42 guys right now in the NBA who average at least 20 points per game. I believe LeBron qualifies. I don't think Anthony Davis will qualify just because of the games, but I could be mistaken about that. But can Rui average 20 points off the bench with LeBron with Russ? That's the main question. Like you said, Gerald, he averages 31 game. He gets a donut another. One game he gets 25. Another game he's DNP'd. It's a question of consistency with him.
Absolutely, and the fact is his shot is inconsistent, which does not help you as much as you want it to help you with the Lakers. But one part of the equation is better in the fact that he does bring size. it is another 6'8" forward to the mix. And I do want to go ahead and say that's better than Kendrick Nunn at 6'1" or 6'2", whatever you want to say, who would probably end up being out of the rotation once Austin Reeves and also Lonnie Walker the fourth get back into the lineup. So I get that and I understand that. But is it just another 6'8" guy, or is he really somebody that can really make a difference? I would hold off on the extension personally, because you also have his bird rights. You have the RFA that you can go ahead
Yeah,
and
I mean, if you can
the
extend them now,
qualifying
you can
offer.
extend them in the summer, right, Gerald?
Yeah, the qualifying offers there. I would actually want to see how he's going to be in the over the no course of the next 30 games plus games before you make a decision on him. I would not go ahead and sign him to an extension just yet.
No, no, I wouldn't. I'd hold off on that. But I do like that um at least both parties are interested in one another and exploring the idea of a long-term relationship.
Now, Zangerstein, we're not asking him to score 20 points, but we are asking him to go ahead and be consistent in the
Mhm.
NBA. The reason why he's not playing in Washington anymore, the reason why they had such high hopes in Washington for him, and I've had this actually conversation before with individuals that are fans and followers of Washington Wizards back years ago when Rui started to you started to see where he was going to fit as an NBA player, and the fact
Yeah,
is that
and that's kind of where he's landed. He'll average 31 games, 0 another. He'll average
yeah,
15 one game, 8 in another. He'll average
yeah,
12 and then 16 and then 4 and then, can you average 15 a game off the bench?
each and every time out. That's what you're looking for, or at least get you like with his shooting into the high 30s. That's something that Washington wanted, and that's something that concerns me. Is that Washington was hoping that he would materialize as a player, as a
Well,
consistent player. They
and
had him
that
pegged as a starter. He was a starter, and he lost his role as a starter because of Kuzma coming in there and taking his spot.
absolutely, and this is and you're seeing this consistently throughout the NBA. There has been a proliferation, expedition of the amount of role players that could score, 20 points, 30 points, 40 points. It's exploded this year. So Rui Hachimura has it in him to do that. It's just,
Mhm.
can he do it consistently for the Lakers? Because if he can, he shows it, then that's a long-term partnership, and then your career has taken a different turn there because now you're a Laker, you're playing very well, you're potentially playing long-term with AD and LeBron, but like you said, Joe, it starts one step at a time, and he's comfortable off the bench. Bring him off the bench. I just want to see consistency. And before I forget, um, this is really cool too in another way because I'm a huge Akira Kurosawa fan. I love his films. He was a diehard Laker fan, and now to have a Japanese connection with the Lakers, Ed Kurosawa, is so cool, Gerald. It is so cool.
So you're a Kurosawa fan, and he obviously one of the greatest directors of all time, and he was a Lakers fan. Is that what you're saying? And now that the fact again, Rui Hashimura with, like you said, the connection, with his Japanese heritage, because it was great to see him playing in the Japan during the exhibition season with the Golden State, and that's when I really got a good look at to see what he was going to be able to bring. Again, still the book's out and the jury's out on Rui Hashimura and what he can give the Lakers. But for 3 seconds, you can buy your way into, if you really, really want to, as we saw the Lakers this year, they actually bought their way into getting Max Christie in the second round. So to me, it's not life threatening that they gave away all those picks. That they offered 2 second round picks. They tried a 3-way trade, according to the rumors, with Phoenix to try and see if they could do work something there. Then fell out of it, and then it just turned out to be the Lakers just needed to offer that additional pick, which again is whatever the lower or the less favorable of the 2028 Washington LA picks in the second round are. So I think that again, if you really want a second round pick, you want some of those back, you can buy your way into them. So I don't think it's life threatening as opposed to those first round picks where they're really hard to make up unless you've got something substantial for it.
Yeah, and for those who may be potentially down on the trade, that's
I'm not
true.
down on it, but I'm just the numbers are there
I'm
that
not I'm not ex- I'm not singling you out, Gerald. I'm
and
just
Washington, I'm sure the fans in Washington see Rui Hachimura as kind of like a failed experiment or
yeah,
failed draft
yeah.
choice leaving. It's like what so we're getting someone else that maybe didn't fit in Washington. Sometimes that works out for the best for the Lakers. So sometimes that works out where the player will find a better fit or will find a better fit somewhere, like you mentioned earlier. So I'm hoping that's the case.
Yeah, me too. Me too as well. And I was just going to add, for those who may be skeptical of the trade and that Phoenix was sniffing around Rui since last year. I've seen his name and their name together in a lot of rumors since last spring, Gerald. So, I mean, for those saying, well, Sean, Magic Man, Phoenix is having an off year this year, I would say yes, they are. They've also had a rash of terrible injuries and inconsistency. However, that team knows how to develop shooters. So if they obviously saw something in Rui, the Lakers have the similar scouts, and similar developmental coaches, and could see the same things. Gerald, the talent's there. The
The,
talent is there. He
I
can
mean,
shoot.
it's just he's not consistent with it as of yet. So
Yes.
hopefully he'll get into a stretch like we've seen with other players before they hit free agency, or in Rui's case, possibly restricted free agency, where they go on a 30 to 35 game run just before they get out there into the free agent market and get the numbers that they need to. He spiked again in the first week or two, like I mentioned, right after he came back from injury, which was really promising. So I'm hoping he can find that kind of niche consistently with the Lakers. If he can end the season strong with the Lakers, who knows what can happen.
Exactly, Gerald. I think there's a lot of potential here. uh, there has to be a little bit of luck involved and consistency from Rui and
The
a
Lakers need to know
realistic
how to utilize him. The Lakers have to
yes.
understand and realize what he's best at and utilize him from there.
I think LeBron will pick up on that super quickly, Gerald. I almost anticipate when I saw the trade, I could almost anticipating him watching hours of his film to try and get a better feel for what he likes to do on the court.
Okay.
And to answer Joshua Dietz's question, Josh, I like the trade. I do. I like the trade. I would give it a solid B. I think it could potentially turn into an A. Um, but that falls on Rui. If the consistency is there and he comes off and he's a shot in the arm off the bench, and you get that consistent 13 to 18 to 20, 30 point outbursts once in a while, and he plays solid D, then I think that turns into an A. But it's a solid trade made by Rob Pelinka.
Okay. I'm still right there in the B minus area because I don't know what to expect. I really don't know what to expect. He's
Oh.
someone that did not work out in Washington, so you never know what you're going to get. But maybe going into a different scheme, both offensively and defensively, will help him become the player that many had hoped he would be when he was coming out of college and being the ninth pick in that draft. So
Do
hopefully
you
that
think he was taken too high, Gerald?
I do. I do. I think he was more like in the. I think I had him projected right there in the teens, but I don't know. I have to check
So
my
he
old
was one of
notes.
the guys who just shot up the boards because of
He might have been right around where I thought he was. So we'll see. Again, it's just something that he's played out like he's not been a top 10 pick in the draft so far. So
yes.
I'm hoping that will change. And the Lakers get a steal out of this because it would be nice if they did. But this whole, do I like it or do I not like it? I want to hear your thoughts in the chat. I know Z likes it. Joshua, Alex, Blue Magic, you know, Blue Magic says you're right. When you're 6'8" and fairly built, you're bound to go high in the draft. And he is strong, 230 pounds, 6'8". He is strong, heading to the basket. One thing he can do very well is drive to the basket and slasher, similar to what we saw over the years with Trevor Ariza. I think that's probably a decent comparison right there. Uh, Zanger Sign says Washington has a wacky offense. Honestly, sometimes their scheme is more Kuz attack or Beal attack. I don't see that much action. With the Lakers, we all know how they are in the half court, so it's not a pretty sight at times as well. But I'm hoping that Rui can find a good niche and they can utilize that going forward. But Zangerstein says, I only like the steal because the need to reduce the guards. The balance is
Of
important. Right.
course, of
And,
course, of course. There's Yoda. The
and,
balance, the balance.
and for that, see, I agree. Giving you another 6'8", player to, I don't want to say, well, okay, I'll say 6'8" body to throw out there on the floor. Whether or not he's consistent or inconsistent, at least it's a nice option that the team can go to. But if he's doing coach decisions by the end of this season, I can't say it would be a win trade at all.
No, not no, not in those terms.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, you gave up none. Gave up 3 second-round picks. Um, what you lose in net, it would almost be a sum zero. I'd like to think, Gerald, if it didn't work out, knock knock.
Yeah,
But
getting the second rounds back or getting at least one or two over the course of the next 7 seasons, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility for the Lakers. They can always, again, like they bought into this year's draft, they can always do it again.
yeah, I mean, you can do it again. Second round picks are easy prey.
Yes.
And there's a reason for it. There's an unlimited amount of second round picks you could trade. You could trade second round picks from now until 25.
But what I want to say to you now is before we head on out and after the break, we will listen to the late night Lakers fast break, which again is going to be scheduled for 10 p.m. Pacific for everybody watching out there tonight. But everybody listening will be actually it'll be just right after the commercials. But I want to ask you this before we head on out, my friend. This shows to me now something that Jamie was very down upon, and that is that Rob Pelinka was not going to make a trade. Well, Rob Pelinka has been working on a trade. Rob Pelinka has been trying to see options. At least it encourages me to that he's actually trying to facilitate trades. Is it a great trade? No. Is it, I don't know. We don't know. He could see something that Washington is not doing right and say, you know what, I think he's a better fit on our team, and I think he'll be able to go ahead and play the way that a lot of people expected him to coming out of college. Maybe he sees something that we don't. I see somebody that just can be another filler in the rotation at this point in time, but I'm hoping he'll be something more.
Yeah, Gerald, I can have similar expectations. I think he can maybe balance out the bench and solidify a role like you and Z and others have said. I think that's uh, I think that's the ceiling.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, that's what lifted. That's what the Lakers did. Is they bought their way with I think it was cash and something else that they
yes,
went ahead
yeah,
and did in
yeah,
order to get into the second round. If there's teams with a plethora of picks, they don't want to go ahead and have to pay
yeah. The Brooklyn
for all these
Nets did it
drafts.
last year too.
Yeah.
So
So if the Lakers are if the bus kids actually see somebody that they really like and they're really on Rob Palinka's case about it, in the second round, let's say later on in the decade when the Lakers don't have those two second round picks anymore, they will be able to go ahead and buy their way into, because there's going to be some team at least that wants to sell out and not incur that kind of cap hit for a second rounder.
oh, for sure. And I mean, with the plethora of first round picks that Oklahoma City and
Right now, it's what, about 3 to 4 million that will get you into to buying. I think
yes.
that's what the Lakers paid as far as cash
So the
considerations
the
from
Lakers will like
Orlando. I think for Max
yes,
Christie.
yes, it was. So the Lakers will likely have anywhere from a 20th to 27th pick in the first round. So you can trade down and acquire 2 seconds if you like a guy, or like you said, Gerald, there are a myriad of ways to get in the second round. You buy your way
Yes,
in, you trade
yes,
your way back.
yes. So
Yeah,
yeah, the second rounders, I don't want to just throw them and pass them off because the Lakers have been very good at drafting in the second round out of necessity. I really
the
think though,
second rounder. I want, and I don't mean it in a disrespectful way at all. But
no.
this is just the way people need to look at second rounders as like scratch tickets.
Mhm.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but you don't find out if you don't play. So that's why people get into the second round. I think this guy might work out for us. So you take a chance. Like Gerald was saying, different ways to skin a cat as far as
Yes.
acquiring a pick in the second round.
The only thing though is do not give him an extension before you get a good look at him. Please just do not
Yeah.
give an extension because if he does get an extension, then it just leads you right into all those things we've been talking about. Rob Pelinka and this organization just having no clue. It's like, and that's not sight unseen because you know what he's like already as an NBA player, but you don't know what he's like on your team. So give it a shot. Just see how he develops. See how he's playing. Can he play consistently,
And
either off the bench or as a spot starter or as becoming a starter? You don't know. So basically, we need to go ahead and make sure that it's the right decision for the team going forward. Because if you tie up money that it ends up hurting you in the long run, if Rui doesn't pan out, that's going to be something that the Lakers have to deal with for years.
yes, yeah, absolutely. That's why the flip side of the coin is Rui too, because he's looking at the Lakers, and what's my role going to be? Is it defined? Can I do the best with it that I can, or exceed those expectations? Do I
Mm-hmm.
like the organization? Do I feel that there's stability? Because if I do sign an extension, I'm signing an extension based on the fact that I think that Darvin Ham is going to be the coach and LeBron and AD are also going to be there because if I am reaching my potential as a Laker, then that means that I've played well with them
Mm-hmm.
and it means that there could be a potential future with all the parties.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Sean, the Magic Man Grice, and also me, Gerald Glassford, here from Lakers Fast Break. Thank you so much for watching and listening. People are excited. They're actually watching in good numbers on today's show. Truly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to
Thank you
checking us
very
out.
much, everyone.
Absolutely. I know all these other shows were on earlier in the day, just for a few minutes here and there to talk about it, but we're glad to go ahead and make sure that your evening time is filled up with nothing but Lakers Fast Break. But before we head on out, my friend, wanted to go ahead and hear your final thoughts on where Rui, if you're envisioning this trade with Rui, you've got him now as far as the rotation. Do you stop looking to go ahead and making a trade to help this team? Because I'm just saying this is just one step in the key to trying to make this team relevant once again.
Yeah, no, Gerald, I don't think you can stop here. I think you need to acquire at least one more player to try and vault yourself into at least a fighting chance, and possibly another one to try and get into contender status. Um, here's the rub.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the game has changed. It's 2023. There are only four guys right now, only four players in the NBA who are shooting over 45% from the field and 40% from beyond the arc. Spencer Dinwiddie, Jeremy Grant, Buddy Hield, and the fourth one is Laurie Markkinen. Now, Rui, for all the like wackiness, great term. See, for what goes on in Washington, just
Mm-hmm.
great term. He's shooting over 48% for his career. Not bad, not bad.
That's from 2 and 3. That's
Yeah,
overall this
yeah.
percentage.
So, like you said, Gerald, inconsistent from three. If he can shoot, you know, 48% and shoot 38% from three, his numbers will go up significantly,
It,
significantly.
And you know what? The biggest number for me is not necessarily the numbers that Hashimura can give you as far as 15, 20 points a game, like you talked about. The number that's most important to me is when he comes on the team, does LeBron's minutes go down and the Lakers still win? That to me, I think, is the most important right now for this season.
Well, it's incumbent upon Rui to spell LeBron
Oh, that's
for
what I'm saying.
minutes. Yes,
That's
no,
what I'm saying.
that's a
And how
definite
does it?
responsibility right now. Everybody can see it. Like that's what you need to do. That's your primary job right now.
And that's something I think I'm very eager to see if in the minutes, not when he's playing with LeBron, because LeBron, again, if you're out in the break with him, he can make you look real good, or he could probably get you a lot of things as far as in the half court, especially if you want to go ahead and spot up in the corner or see what we can do there. But it's when he's out of the game, when LeBron is out of the game, Rui is going to probably be expected to pick up a lot of that slack. And if he can do anything consistently where the Lakers are not seriously in the hole when he's off the court, plus you've got AD coming back. With AD and Rui, if they can go ahead and take those LeBron minutes when he's on the bench and really be productive, that to me I think is a win-win, and that's what I'm going to be looking at the most.
Yes. Yes, that would be the not just the ceiling, that would be the roof of this transaction if that were to transpire. Absolutely, Gerald. And just to answer Blue Magic's question, you know what, Blue? I think it would be best if most Lakers fans put that Pacers hypothetical trade to 6 feet under. I just don't see it happening with us. And not to mention Blue, I think personally, just from the landscape, Miles Turner is also a guy who's also turned down a massive extension. I think he's just going to go into free agency. And what the Pacers choose to do with his contract is up to them. But I don't think he's going to sign an extension. I think he's just going to play it out
I still think we are two, as I'm stating in the chat. I still think we're
two way.
two,
I agree
two
with Hassan. I agree, Hassan.
I still think we're two players away, maybe three. I don't know. Again, we'll have to see how Rui boosts or does not boost the Lakers, for the rest of the season. But I'm going to give him a shot. I'm going to be having an open mind in how he's playing. He had a disappointing career so far in Washington. It didn't work out the way that both he and Washington. I also know he had some mental health issues last season and some trouble with the organization as well. He was very unhappy with the situation. I don't know how much better it's going to get for him here in the Lakers if he doesn't like coming off the bench. Unless he's consistent, that's where he's going to be ending up.
Yeah, that's true, Gerald. But you know something? It's interesting. I was thinking, if you're a rotational player in any uh, LA sports organization, it could seem like a fishbowl. I understand that. But LA is a big town, Gerald, and you can hide in plain sight if you want to. So I think if whatever issues he was having in Washington, I think hopefully he can deal with them in Los Angeles. Sometimes the grass isn't always greener, but sometimes a fresh start is good for everybody involved. And I think maybe just having a chance for him to exhale and just try and fit into a new role rather than, like LeBron said, try to fit in rather than fit out. I think, like you said, Gerald, I think fitting in right now would be spelling LeBron, doing your best defensively, hustling in transition, and your shot will come.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But Rui Hashimura is now a Los Angeles Laker. We'll see what happens and how he can fit into the rotation, how he, whether it's a starter or whether it's as a reserve coming off the bench. We'll see what happens. We are going to give him plenty of time to go ahead and see if he can materialize as a consistent player on the Los Angeles Lakers. Joshua Deeds says, thanks, guys. Both of you break things down beautifully. Much appreciated for the shout out, both you and Alex on Facebook. Of course, Z, Henry, Blue, everybody's been tremendous in the chat on this impromptu part one of our Rui Hachimura coverage. Again, Rui Hachimura will never get this much coverage from any fan base on any day for the rest of his life. I can guarantee that pretty much. But Henry says, "Tell Joe I said Palinka came out of the basement." I know that was said in the email. As far as that's concerned, yes, definitely.
And Jamie, you will
Yes.
have to tell us how crow tastes.
Yes, he is going to be eating some crow, but that will be coming up for audio listeners after the break. But for everyone out there, it'll be displayed tonight at 10 p.m. We'll go live with part 2 of a Rui Hachimura trade talk because Rui Hachimura is now a Laker. Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Please want to know, please let us know. Please let us know your thoughts on it. We've been hearing and seeing it in the best Lakers chat that's out there, but we want to know your thoughts, whether it's below us on YouTube, if you're seeing this after the fact, or LakersFastBreak at yahoo.com, or Courtside Lakers on Instagram, or Lakers Fast Break wherever you get your social media. We want to hear your thoughts on the trade. Is it a good one? Do you like it? Do you not like it? We want to hear your thoughts, why that is. And of course, we always want you to keep checking us out. So please like, subscribe, and do whatever you can to support us right here at the Lakers Fast Break. Blue Magic says Palinka came out. Oh, Professor Grice. I don't really want to go ahead and detail what he came out of, but it's there in the chat and it's there for you. But Zangerstein, we will see you later on. Hopefully, we'll see everybody else. Blue, hopefully, you get a chance to stop by as well because Joe Soro and Jamie Sweet, they'll have something to say about the trade. And for everybody out there that's listening, that's coming up after the break. And for everyone here tonight, that's coming up at 10 p.m. So we'll be here in a little bit talking about the Rui Hachimura trade just a little bit more with Joe's thoughts and Jamie's thoughts right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you tonight at 10 p.m.